Weekend deal, and the show is not just starting, but the main deal is about to happen. Just sit tight and learn, because everyone is a part of this particular discussion. Now, the beauty, Randy, of being a Nigerian, as long as I'm concerned, it's enormous.
Yeah.
But one of them, and I think that really stands us out, is our deep roots to culture and tradition, especially the ones that are woven around the family. I love that a lot, because it tells me that I'm never really alone, you know. But sometimes this culture, you know, is so stretched that people, rather than enjoying it, you know, enormously, begin to feel pain out of it. One of them is that which is tied around, you know, the wills and inheritance. I don't know how it happens in your place, though, but
you see, is you know, modern. We are in modern times now, and there's a little conflict between culture and modernity. You understand? So that's what makes today's episode our bitter and sweet episode of Weekend Deal. Will be interesting.
So that's to say, we'll be seeing a lot of the good, the bad, the ugly. But let's follow Francis as he guides us with the background.
One of the inevitabilities of life is death. Though most people don't like talking about it, it will surely happen. Perhaps not when one expects it. But it is disheartening when family members fight over a deceased property or properties few hours after his or her death.
Will is defined as a legal document that declares the intention of a deceased person on how his assets, his property should be distributed among the beneficiaries. And of course, it is when such assets are distributed that beneficiaries now inherit what has been distributed to them.
My father died at age 49, very young, and he had family he was taking care of. Ours was a polygamous home, but at 21, I had that responsibility of taking care of my family, and I happened to be. 1 week after my father died, a family meeting was called. A family meeting was called up to the extent that people who were my father's uncle, people who trained my father even as a kid growing up, came to say they wanted to now take charge of the administration of my father's estate. So what I did was I got a lawyer who did a letter for me, and we presented to everybody at that meeting. And I told them, you see, before my father died, luckily, before he died, he had done the registration of his company. And because I read civil engineering, he had added construction company into it. So I said, I'm going to take charge. He had a publishing company. There was an uncle who had worked with my father, who defrauded my father, and 10 years before my father died, was not even speaking with my father. He surfaced at that meeting that day and came to say because he was working with my father in the office, he should become the general manager of my father's company.
Nigeria has over 250 ethnic tribes, and this means that the pattern of inheritance under customary law will vary according to each ethnic group. Inheritance is commonly patrilineal, and sharing of assets tend to be in favor of the male child.
It's a cultural thing, but such culture is repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience. Because once you subject such practices to public policy tests, you will find out that such practice is against every known conventional practices. In several decisions of the court have ruled out such practice. In fact, the way it is now, as it were, woman, man, lady, girl, boy, you are having the same right to inheritance, to entitlement of your parents or anybody's properties as any other sex.
In the Igbo culture, it is the first son that takes everything. But the Supreme Court has squashed that kind of inheritance rule, and also helps to drive even widowhood practices and violence against women who maybe they lived in a family, they contributed in that family, but because they had only female children, the male members of that family who were maybe brothers to the deceased will come to say you only had females, you don't have a root in this place.
The law governing succession in Nigeria is generally under two broad headings, namely testate and intestate successions. While testate succession is primarily governed by wills and the applicable law, intestate succession, on the other hand, is that condition when a man dies without leaving behind a valid will.
In such situation, the person or the administrators will have to administer the asset in accordance with the estate laws, administration and estate laws of the state where the deceased is domiciled. So there is a law that tells you this is how you can administer XYZ on behalf of the deceased person.
To plan inheritance in Nigeria, you need to critically think about who you want to leave the inheritance for, what inheritance you want to leave, and how you want to leave the said inheritance, as well as how you expect them to use the inheritance.
There are certain factors and conditions that makes a will valid. One, the person who is making the will, the testator, must be a person of legal age. And when we say legal age, you must be 18 and above. Then, another one, the person must be of sound mind. The third is that such a will must be signed by proper witnesses. In this case, a beneficiary of a will cannot sign a will.
It is significant to say that making a will is very important and should be embraced by all to protect the interest of loved ones and ensure one's assets are properly managed. It is neither a curse nor a superstitious belief.
My father didn't leave a will when he died, but what helped us was that at the time we were trying to clear out things, we went into his wardrobe and saw documents, landed property documents and other things that were in his name. These were the things that we gave to the lawyer, and the lawyer helped us to secure those things.
In fact, that you are a next of kin does not automatically grant you the right to inherit that thing that you have been made a next of kin. No. The next of kin is just like somebody who could be rich, or the next person that can be contacted in the event of anything. It doesn't, but there's a lot of misinterpretation and misunderstanding of next of kin to mean that because you are next of kin to something or to somebody, you are next in line to inherit that thing. No, that is wrong.
Our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on the tradition and custom of will and inheritance in Nigeria.